Hello everybody, my name is Sebastiaan, so I just won a book, so pretty happy actually. Yes, I don't win a lot of things in life, so but what I'm gonna talk about tonight is how focus actually saved my career as a designer, and it might also save yours. I have to admit that the title is a bit dramatic, and it was more to lure people in to come to see the talk. But what I'm going to do tonight is I'm just going to share my experience, what I've been doing the past 10 years actually. I've been a designer since I graduated for 10 years. So I just want to share some experiences, some thoughts about it. Short agenda. First, going to talk a short part about how I found focus in life. And with life, I mean everything next to my job. I'm going to talk about focus in work. I'm going to ask you some questions as well. What is your focus? We're also going to talk about design patterns because, it's a design meetup, so I have to talk about it. And I think I found a couple of cool ones. And then I'm going to share some tips about how to focus. So, focus in life. So a couple of years ago, my life was pretty chaotic. I was just running from one appointment to the other. I was actually doing a lot of different things. I was doing multiple sports. I was playing drums in 100 bands. I organized a festival. I went to a lot of different holiday activities. I was just doing a lot of different things. And for me, that was not really working out because if I wanted to focus on my job as a designer, I first need to get the focus in my life good. So what I did is, I told to myself what gives me energy and what doesn't give me energy. It's a super simple exercise. I just took 2 papers, I wrote it down, and then for me I decided like, okay, I'm only going to do one sport, I'm going to play in one band. It's still quite busy, but for me at least now there is some kind of focus. So that was the first step that I did to find focus in my job. First, settle things in my life. One thing that I still have to work on is the sport that I'm doing is actually triathlon, which consists of 3 sports. So that's a bit difficult. I still have to work on that. I might have to pick one of the 3 eventually. Anyways, focus in life was for me an important start in my journey to save my career. Focus in work, kind of the same story. I graduated, I studied design here in Mechelen, which was a really nice study. And then I started doing a lot of different things. I founded a startup, Camper. It was Airbnb for camping places. Super cool to start a startup when you're young. I started a YouTube channel where I put on Figma tutorials. Then I made a web design agency with other freelancers. I worked as a consultant for some bigger companies. I organized a festival. Maybe I want to do festivals because it's super cool to do festivals. I started doing public speaking, give courses, give training, so a lot of multiple things that I was doing at the same time, and I was kind of okay in everything, but not really good at anything. Camper, the first one, just failed, so that was an easy thing to take out. But within the job as a designer, I was also focusing on a lot of different things. I wanted to do at one point I wanted to do UX, and then I wanted to do UI, and then I wanted to do branding. I want to make videos, I want to do hosting, front-end development, Webflow, Craft CMS, WordPress, all the kind of things. I wanted to do everything, and as you can imagine, didn't really work out. There was not really focus for me. So I just did the same exercise again. What gives me energy? What doesn't give me energy? And I can tell you, at some point you think that everything gives you energy, but at the end, it's not really true. So, indeed, what gives me energy? So eventually I settled to this. I started a digital product studio called PandaPanda together with Arno. He's also here, and some other colleagues as well. And for me, that was really like the thing that gives me energy. That was my purpose in life, building digital products that really last for our customers. So gradually I stopped doing all the other things and really focused on my company, PandaPanda. This is a photo of our old office. We have a new office, and if you want to see that, next year we're also hosting a UX Beers, so you can come and check it out. Yes. It's going to be a little bit bigger than this one because, it's a bit small. So finding focus in my work. Again, just simple exercise, what gives me energy, what doesn't give me energy. Now, when you start a company and you have to run a business, you have to do a lot of different things. So running the whole business part, I'm going to leave that aside now, because I'm also still working as a designer. We're a small company, we have a team around 8 people, so I still have to do a lot of billable work. So I also have to do design work. And there as well, I also try to find my focus by doing that same exercise. I'm really repeating myself right now that I imagine. And this is actually my focus. I want to explain it a little bit. It's setting up a design practice for startups and scale-ups. Actually, a pretty big or wide focus, I would say, but for me, this is something that I really like to do. I worked for several different companies, big and small, and this is like the part that I really like. So imagine some startup or scale-up, they get a lot of funding, they grow to a company of 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe 100 people. They have a lot of engineers, but for some reason, they don't really have a design practice in place. Maybe that sounds familiar for some of you people, but this is something that I conquered on my path, I would say, and it's something I really like to do. So what I like to do is I come into that company, I do a full audit, I talk with all the stakeholders, see what the problems are. And usually it's the case where indeed there is not really a design practice and you have like somebody from marketing doing a bit of design, and then a front-end developer knows how to work with Figma, so then he's a designer within that company. So those are like the problems that I want to uncover, or that I will uncover during that audit phase. Then I make a whole plan together with the stakeholders, like build a whole roadmap, what we're going to do in the coming weeks, the coming months. Then I do the plan, I do the work, so I also really want to get my hands dirty. I want to go into Figma or whatever, build a design system, build designs for principal screens. Then together with the company, we hire, build, and scale a design team, and then I'm out. As you can see, for a focus, this is actually quite a lot. So the point that I want to make is focus doesn't mean that you only have to focus on one small little thing. It can be pretty wide, but at least as long as you know what you want to do and what you want to focus on, it will really help you in your job, or at least it helped me. And yeah, it will really work out. Now, how about your focus? I have a couple of colleagues around, and they're going to give you a Post-it and a pen, or some pens. And I want you to take a minute to just think what gives you energy and what doesn't give you energy. You don't have to share it afterwards. It's just an internal exercise. But I want you to just take a minute. It's also easier for me to fill the 25 minutes that I need for this talk. So. So afterwards, you can all talk to each other and say, hey, what gives you energy or what doesn't give you energy? And maybe after this night, you will change your career. Who knows? Take a moment to think about it.
Could you repeat your question?
What gives you energy and what doesn't give you energy? Just put it on a Post-it. Within your job that you're doing.
In your job. In your life.
You can also do it in your life, but we're focusing on the job tonight. Yeah.
If you're done, please pass on the pen, because there's not a lot of pens.
No. Forgot some pens. It's just, you know, an internal exercise. You can also just think for yourself about it. And then afterwards, when we grab some drinks, you can maybe talk about it or not. All right, I'm just going to continue. Hopefully I will get your attention and focus back. I also want to share. Okay, I'm still going to wait for a bit. Okay, I also want to share a couple of design patterns that I really like that you can use in your digital products, your websites, or your apps, so they can focus on the thing that you're building or that your users are using. One of my favorite patterns is the one thing per page pattern. It's actually pretty simple. With this pattern, you just only literally ask one question or one action to your customer or your user of your product per page. Don't ask too much at the same time, because then you will overload them with information. They will have like a cognitive overload. So this is a really nice one. I'm going to show an example later on. It helps you to give clarity to your user because they know what we are asking from them. It helps them to focus because it's just one thing. It also simplifies decision making. If you have one long form with a lot of different questions, it's a bit overwhelming, it's not nice. It's consistent, and it's also a good pattern for a mobile design. So this is an example of a registration flow I designed for a startup. And as you can see, I just ask one question per page. Some other benefits over there. The page loads faster, so that means that the conversion ratio will improve. It's good, to do some error handling as well, because you have a lot of space on the screen. You can provide a sense of progress with a nice progress bar. And it could also be handy to save the process and resume later. Now, don't take this pattern always too literal. It could be that you can combine a couple of things. So over here, you see that I ask two questions because it's related to each other. So if you ask like an address or something, then you can ask street, city, country, zip code together on one screen. So you have to be a bit logical about it. But really nice design pattern that I like to use a lot. And it also helps your users focus. Center stage. Somebody that knows this design pattern. It's also something that I discovered quite recently, this term, but actually it's super simple. Place the most important or relevant content and actions in the center of the user's attention. Pretty simple. It's also literally what I'm doing with my slides. My slides are one thing per page and also using the center stage pattern. You can see this also on a lot of newspaper websites. They want to pop out certain things that you really want to see or that you really want that the visitor see. So yeah, center stage. Now, I realized that I use one thing per page and center stage a lot, and it's sometimes like my fallback or go-to design pattern because I know it so well and I can always explain it to the customers and I can always sell it to them. But it's not always good to only use like the same patterns. You have to see per problem or per product that you're building what actually works best. And that's what this one is about, Maslow's hammer. I found a really nice infographic about it. So this law, also called the law of the hammer, says that if the only tool that you have is a hammer, you tend to treat everything as if it were a nail. So if you use this within UI UX design or digital product design, it means that you don't have to become pattern-centric. If you have a design system with a lot of patterns in it and you're always like, I'm just going to use one of the patterns of the design system, you might run into the law of the hammer, and that's not really what you always want. You have to be user-centric and not pattern-centric. So it means that even though we like to use the same things because it helps us focus, it's also good sometimes to think outside of the box, try seeking different perspectives, remove all possible limitations during brainstorms, always question existing patterns, and try new techniques and methodologies. So for me, this was kind of a little bit of an eye-opener, I don't know how you say it. In English, I was using a lot the same patterns, and now, I kind of use this pattern to go into that one. Okay. So, how can I focus on how can you focus? This is the last part. I'm just going to share a couple of things that work for me, and maybe it can also work for you. Now, before I go into my tips, I want to make something clear. It's not that we're distracted the whole time, that we don't have a focus. We're actually overstimulated. If you're working behind your desk and you open up Slack and your mailbox and WhatsApp and Instagram and in my case, Figma, maybe Notion, Trello, some kind of project management tool, a lot of different things. It's so easy to get distracted the whole time. And according to research, every 30 or 40 seconds, you just are distracted and you start doing something else. But that's actually not something to feel bad about. It's really normal. It's what we call overstimulation, because if you get a message from WhatsApp, you see the message coming in, you click on it, you look at it, you answer it. There's like a dopamine that's being released in your brain, and it's the same dopamine that you have when you eat nice candy or when you're making love. So actually, you shouldn't feel that bad about it. So it's all about overstimulation. So these dopamines, sometimes good, sometimes bad. So how do I counteract this? Excommunication. So what I try to do is close Slack, close Outlook, WhatsApp, everything, just close everything down and only open the one program or the one tool that I have to work in. It's super hard for me still, but it's a good technique that works for me. Which also sometimes means if I'm in the office and I go away from, the open workspace, which is here as well. It's not because I don't want to be social with my coworkers, but it's really just, to get that focus. Get bored. Do nothing. I think it's really important to just get bored. For me, it helps to calm my mind down and just do nothing. Sometimes I just go on a walk. I leave my phone at home or just everything, and I just walk around in Antwerp, the city I live in, or if I'm somewhere else. And it really helps me. Often in these times, I get solutions for a problem that I'm trying to solve for a long time. Another great tip here is if you have to do a commute with your car, don't listen to music or podcasts or radio, just listen to nothing, and your mind will just wander off and it will just calm down, and it will help you to eventually get focused at the moments that you need it. When I was driving here, I also turned my music off just to calm down. For some people, it might not be good that they hear themselves thinking, but for me, it really works. You don't have to do it all the time, because I also like to listen to loud music in my car, but often it really helps me. And you shouldn't feel bad about it to just sometimes do nothing, get bored. You come home and you just go sit in a couch and, I don't know, do nothing. Another tip for me, one project per day. We have a lot of different clients. I have to handle a lot of different projects per day, but I try to limit to one project per day. Definitely if it's like executing something, if I have to do designs or something has to happen like that, I try to do just one per day. Some people say like, I want to do multiple projects per day. I like the variation, but then you have like this concept called context switching, where you always lose a lot of time and focus if you switch from one project to another. So for me, this works best. Ideally, you do one project per week, or per month, or maybe per year, depending on how big the project is. But for me, this really works good. And if you struggle with these kind of things, maybe try this out to do just one project per day. Sleep, it's important. I think everyone is like, yeah, sure. But I wanted to put it in there because last week I had a week with not a lot of sleep, and then I just really lost my focus. So for me, if I don't have like at least 7 hours per night, then I'm getting a bit grumpy and I kind of lose my focus. So really treat your sleep as if it's super important. Find a good rhythm, find a good pattern in your sleeping. It's important. Move your body, clear your mind. Try to exercise, try to move. It really, really helps you, or at least it really helps me. I go running, or in my case, running, biking, swimming. But it really gives me a lot of clear headspace, and can really, really advise it to everybody that exercise is really good to get your focus. If you wake up in the morning and you go for a run, you really feel fresh. And then during that first meeting, the people are like, hey, how are you doing? How's your morning? Oh, good, I already ran 10K. And they're all super impressed when you say that. So it's also cool. I think one of my last tips, take a break, one of at least 8 days. Also a bit of research. I actually didn't do a lot of research like the previous talk, which was like really underlined and like really good. I'm just sharing things that I think is good, sharing my thoughts. But this one is researched, so it shows that you need at least 8 days to really get out of it. So if you take holidays, make sure that you go away for long enough, take a break, and just try to disconnect from everything that you're doing from your job. If you want some more information about this, this is also a super interesting TED Talk that you could check out. I might have learned some things from there that I'm now sharing here as well, but it's a really good one. And yeah, my last question for tonight is, what's your focus? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jill, can I grab you for a quick second? For the sake of our live stream audience. Yeah. Jill's going to help me.
I will help.
Great. So, do we have any questions? Oh, come on. Surely we have some questions.
Maybe one question. How do you stick to one project a day?
Do I have to answer in this? So I have like in Notion a kind of calendar planning, and then I just put, I'm going to work on this project today, and I just do it. But to be honest, just do it. No, to be honest, I also have to manage quite some project management for our clients as well. But really, if I have to do design work, sorry, back in the camera. Hey. If it's about design work, I just stick to one project, yeah. I don't know, I can't explain it, I just do it, so...
Everybody else do the other ones.
Sorry?
Everybody else do the other ones.
Yeah, that's true. We plan really good at PandaPanda, so yeah.
Is installing a design practice something you do with PandaPanda, or is it something you do on the side?
I do it for the clients of PandaPanda, yeah.
Okay.
And then actually also within PandaPanda itself, indeed, yeah. We do like Q&A sessions, design critiques, things like that. But because we're all working for different clients, and sometimes we work together on projects, it's kind of a different design practice because we don't work on a product together, but it's kind of learning from each other and teaching each other. But these kind of things help, these kind of coaching sessions help to also use it for customers as well. Yeah.
And what's the typical runtime for a project like installing a design practice with the client?
The last one I did took 2.5 years. But it started out for like 3 months building a design system, and then it just kept on going. And I was a little bit too long in the higher build scale, a team phase. At the end, I was just part of the team that I set up there. But I would say 3 to 6 months, definitely you can do something then, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Hi. Thanks for the talk. It's something that I relate a lot with, and some of the message I've applied to my life, but I found myself taking it a bit as a performance, and I ended up, instead of reducing my stress levels, actually be quite stressed with how I was doing. Yeah, perfect. So, do you have any advice on how to make this a bit less effort? So for people who are performance oriented, how to make it a bit more, stress free, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Now I'm becoming a life coach. Good question. I think it's also sometimes good to just not always do everything that you want to achieve or always follow your schedule, or you have to be a little bit lucid yourself as well. To give an example from my side, last summer I was training for a triathlon, and I had to swim, run, bike like 2 times a week. Sometimes I didn't go to parties or didn't drink a lot of alcohol, but sometimes you just have to let that go, because it's not like I'm a professional athlete. I was just trying to complete one. So yeah, just don't go too hard on yourself, and sometimes it's okay if you miss a training or you don't score like the best performance in life, as long as if you're happy with what you're doing. But I don't know, that's what I can say about it. You know? Don't be too hard on yourself sometimes.
Other questions?
What's the band name?
Another book, yes.
What's the
All
band
right,
name?
if that is that. Oh, we have one more?
What's the band name? Where you a drummer?
Oh, what's the band name?
Captain Kaiser. Check it out on Instagram, Spotify.
I like this musical theme that we have going this evening. That's perfect.
It's a theme.
All right. To close us out this evening, we have one more book to give away. Jill?
Exactly, we have one more book. Earlier this evening, we already learned that the conference is in Antwerp, the next one. But what is the name of the venue? That was very fast. Well, congratulations for winning the third book tonight.
If I could have our speakers this evening join me up front here. Speakers, if you could join me up front here. We have a token of our appreciation. Thank you so much for joining us this evening at UX Belgium.
Nice. Thanks.
It was a real privilege to have you. So our next event will be October 30th in Antwerp at Can Design. Yep. Right? So we hope to see many of you there. Thanks again to Springbok for hosting us this evening, to again Ariad and Creative Skills for being our sponsors, and to Smashing Conference. And I look forward for the books. And we look forward to hopefully seeing some of you there as well. Don't forget to check us out on Slack and check out that 10% discount code if you are interested in attending. So with that, thanks for coming. Have a wonderful evening. Feel free to linger a bit and say hello, make some new friends, finish your drinks, and we'll see you next time.